why I said that. Okay. Hello.
Because
Hold
you're a
on.
natural performer, and as soon as
Yes.
there's a face there, you like you like making people laugh. Is that
Thank
Christmas?
you. Thank you, Melanie.
Wow, it's true.
No, you hit it. Thank you. I appreciate you. You know me well.
I realized something. I think, again, this is like why we get along so well. The other day, I made Phil laugh at something random, and the way my dopamine hit, making him laugh that hard, I was like, And I just remembered, even in high school, even in primary school, I think I was always trying to make my friends laugh. And I
Yeah.
think that you're the same. We just like making people laugh. That's the real dopamine hit, eh?
That's it right there. It's the truth. It's the truth. Anytime I get like a smiley face emoji back, I'm like, thank you. Like life is good.
You
I'm
make
so
me
happy.
cackle a lot. Like, I think you know the right mix between repetitive humor and surprise humor.
Yes.
Because I fucking swear every time you do your hard DM, or lately it's like romantic DM or whatever pops into your head. I cackle every
Yeah.
time. I kid you not.
It makes me laugh knowing I'm gonna make you laugh.
That's
So
maybe we just do it for ourselves because I'm literally the same. I start like laughing, thinking about how I'm going to amuse my friend with this gift.
yeah. And yeah, every time a good gif, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like I've hit gold. Like this is gonna nail it. Yeah. But no, I have some twinkling lights behind me.
They are beautiful, my friend.
Thank you. Because in the States, it is September 3rd.
Yes.
Once we hit September 1st, it is officially Halloween season.
Gotcha.
Now, this maybe we're gonna get some DMs about this. People are gonna be very upset to hear this. But in my household, it is officially fall. I know it's not fall, and
It's
it's
a
100
not.
degrees out. It's not.
Is it not? It's
Well, not here.
um.
Okay, it's not yet, and it's 100 degrees outside. It's a little toasty, but I did see a leaf turn yellow.
Well, it's the start of
Twinkle
fall.
lights.
Yeah. I mean,
So
look,
I got the twinkle lights.
I thought they might be Christmas lights, but I
No,
appreciate that the
they
neutral
change
color.
colors. They
Oh,
change colors.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one of those above our fireplace, but it's just a single one. Okay, nice. That's giving. A little evil red to start your day.
Yes. Yes. And it comes with different settings.
Glorious.
You just got to do these little things to make you
Yes.
happy. You know what I mean?
And I love how
Yeah.
the Castle of Horror anthology is lurking behind that bush. It's really serving.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I was
It's so
inspired.
cool. It looks like an actual haunted thing, artifact looking out from the bushes. I love it.
It really does.
Don't you
Yeah.
feel protected weirdly by it? Like if someone walked in your house and saw that, they'll be like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna pick another
Yes.
house to rob.
Yes. Oh, well, let me just tell you. I so my grandfather was an artist. He's
Yeah.
passed on. But yeah, he has art in museums and whatnot.
Wow.
Um my stepmom gave me an art piece that was given to my dad.
Yeah.
And so I hung it in my house and it is haunting. It she told my one of my brothers and I, she's like, you guys choose between one picture and the other picture. And by default, I got this one, but I do love it.
It's just
But it is
spooky. You
yes,
have
it's
to
so
show me a
spooky.
photo. What's spooky about
Yes.
it?
Okay, so it's this large painting.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, the detail, I think he painted it in the 60s.
Mm.
And it's all on canvas. It's really, really neat, the detail. But it's of these four young men and young, like Mexican men, and their faces, that painting, like the scream face, they give off sort of those vibes. It's very like
Ooh.
their faces are almost like nondescript, and like each face is like a little
Mm.
more haunting. So when I'm sitting in this chair, there's a window right here, And so if the hallway light is on and that's it, you just see one of the faces like peeking
What?
out. So I've got yours right here, and then I've got the one peeking from behind back there. So yeah, no one's coming in this house. They're gonna
It
be too
feels
scared.
right though that you got the spooky painting. Like it'll be
Yeah.
good inspo for your next book.
Yeah, I feel good vibes from it because
Yeah.
my dad always thought like when he was a little boy he thought the painting was of him and his brothers. Not all of them, but because he's got many brothers, but
Good.
so I always just think like, oh, it's maybe my dad and the boys. So
Mm.
but anyway, yeah.
No,
I
I
don't
love that. Honestly, the older I get and like uh deprogram some of the trauma in my head, I find like little spooky things like that comforting weirdly. Like I made
Yes.
that planter trying to do the haunted face,
Yeah.
and then I stuck Spanish moss in it. What do you call it? Do you call it Spanish moss there? Old man's beard, that air plant that grows in the forests. Grows
Yeah.
like what? It just you just water just the plant itself.
I
It's
love that kind of a plant.
oh my gosh, you'd love this. It grows wild and everywhere.
Oh,
And
so it grows wild there.
uh I've seen it in documentaries. I don't think we have it native in Australia, but we might. It literally grows like moss, but it doesn't grow in soil. It covers, there's no root system. It's just an air plant. Although air
Yeah.
plants tend to have roots. This one's just like this creepy crawly. I'll show you a close up later. Anyway, so I stuck it through. I like crafted this haunted face to look like that book, and then I pulled this Spanish moss through it.
So
Anyway, I don't know what my point. Oh, my point was that with all these little kind of spooky artifacts, when I was younger, it would have really unsettled me because I would have thought something ominous was behind it. But as I get older, I'm like, I feel like almost protected by the little spooky artifacts, you know?
yeah, yeah, like gargoyles, right?
Yeah.
They're not meant to be this negative thing. Let me ask you, did you ever watch the show Gargoyles?
No, it would have been firmly
Oh.
on the list of spooky things that were not permitted.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a cartoon about gargoyles
I
in New
vaguely
York.
remember it.
Oh my God, I had the biggest crush on the main
Really?
gargoyle. Oh, he was so hot.
Aw. It's funny how apparently gargoyles and horses are your kryptonite.
Yeah. Yeah, I posted about someone was saying horses aren't handsome and then they spotted the real spirit, the horse. And he was is a handsome horse. With his little bangs and like he has like a cut jawline.
This is questionable content.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's as there's something I'm sure I can be psychoanalyzed about, but there also is this cat that I've seen on TikTok, and he's this handsome cat, like he's handsome.
Mm.
And for whatever reason, whoever owns this cat like does these like thirst trap like video.
What?
Yes, and then there's this other like a female cat, he's got like a lady friend. And it cuts like to these versions where he like puts his paw like on the other side of like her and I'm like, should I be watching this?
That's the thing, listeners. We do not condone the sexualization of animals, first and foremost. Just disclaimer. But like, I fully had a crush on the Robin Hood fox and on various
Oh,
anime
yes.
characters, and I don't know, I
Yeah.
wasn't really a horse girly, but yeah, I mean, you might. There's a very like handsome horse in Lord of the Rings that may
Oh yeah.
interest you. Have you caught up?
No, no, I have not. I've watched one episode, I
Oh,
think.
you're not into it.
I'm not that I'm not. I'm just,
Mm.
again, I think it's a brain rot situation. Like how I had mentioned when we were
Mm.
recording earlier. Like my attention span is gone. So I need to
Mm.
work on that. I need to chuck the phone, get rid
Me
of it.
too.
There's a show
Mm.
Alicia and I just binged what's it called? It's like the making of a girl group,
Ooh,
Cat Eyes. Anyway,
I haven't seen it.
so it's like the same formula as like how they form K-pop groups.
Oh yeah.
So they like pull, it was a documentary, and they pulled all of these like amazingly talented girls from all over the world,
Yeah.
and to build this like, and like a girl group. And so we binged that. Like that had my attention.
Mm.
Um,
It's
but yeah, not Lord of the Rings.
I hear you though. Like I honestly was worried about myself a few months ago because I didn't want to watch anything. I just like felt that like my attention span. I don't know if Reels has broken us because we're getting this like concentrated maximum like 1 minute 30, but usually like 15, 10-second super concentrated dopamine hit. Because
Yes.
yeah, I really noticed that about myself. And when it reaches the point where nothing really interests you anymore, nothing is was grabbing my attention. And yeah, I'm also just bit consciously like the last couple nights, I I'm not looking for a new show to watch. I'm not like we're just like turned off the phones, turned off the TV after aside from Lord of the Rings, but when it finished, I was like, "Oh, let's just turn it off and enjoy our night." And it's like,
Oh.
yeah, we wound
What'd you
up
guys
doing
do?
yeah, we wound up doing yoga, having a bath, and actually going to bed before 11. And it was so fucking nice. And I had such a deep, restful sleep. But honestly, there's a
Ah,
lot that I could be doing. Like, I've got laundry to do. Oh, and I cooked dinner and I haven't been like properly cooking for a while. All these like little things that sound so simple. But like when you're just filling the space with like stimulation and feeding that desire, but it reaches its point, right? That's the thing. Like, I feel
yes.
like I reached a point, again, we're weirdly connected in that moment. But I did feel like I
Good.
reached a point where I was just like, nothing is hitting it right now. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like burnt out from overstimulation,
Yes.
from TV, from reels, whatever.
Yes.
And it's been,
No, I hate it. It's annoying
yeah.
because it truly, my favorite things to do are to read a book
Mm,
or to watch a show. And like I feel like I can't, like my brain is like, no, 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 you need more, you need a hit
yeah.
of dopamine. Like you need that little laugh or whatever it is. Um, and I hate it because truly I need to shut my brain off and just
Mm,
enjoy one thing. Like, let me just read a damn book.
it's
But I
really
feel
hard.
like I've been feeling it in my bones. Like as I'm reading, I'm like, oh, I better like check my messages. Like my brain's like, no,
Yeah.
girl, get on there, get on there. And I hate it because I just want to live peacefully
That's it, eh?
so badly. I just want to
I
live
think we
very
are
quietly.
addicted, eh? I think they've like fully got us hook, line, and sinker with social
Yeah.
media and the way they've programmed it. I'm like,
Yes.
but yeah, once you're conscious of that, it's definitely like, yeah, keeping my phone on silent has helped me not constantly feel like I need to be on it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's so hard. It is so,
It
so
is.
hard to resist. Or like sometimes what we're doing instead of like watching a show or something is we'll be like, oh, let's just sit together and look through reels and laugh for like an allocated block. But definitely trying to do a little bit outside of screens more. I've always
Yeah.
wanted that more peaceful wind down, but it's like it feels like a chore sometimes. And I think maybe for me, it had to get to this point where I felt burnt out by shows and reels and social media to get to the point where I'm like, no, I just want to like light the fire. Like I made meatloaf and I made a very like kind of cozy Croatian roots meal last night. I just like slow fried my onions. Like I took half an hour, like my mom does, to like slow fry those onions until they were like just crispy. And then I did like we call it rija i grašak, literally just rice and peas. But I vajazzled mine with like a bit of turmeric and pepper.
Wait, hold on. Did you say vajazzle?
I vajazzled
Okay. Just
it.
wanted to make sure you said that.
I'm drag racing my food. I'm drag
Yes.
racing my books. Drag race in every
Vajazzle
element.
it up. Vajazzle it up.
Yeah, and then I
Oh,
did like a meatloaf from scratch, which I didn't super grow up on meatloaf. We grew up on cevape, which is just like small meatloafs, basically. But I like picked the herbs that I'd planted on my garden and then like I just like took my time and I was like, ah, like I cannot remember when I really want to be mindful to do that more. Like it was really healing to me to like slow, creative cook, not just like rushing to pump out a meal. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I put on, I found this Spanish cooking music because I like to have kind of like an upbeat, like a cooking class vibe. I was listening
Yes.
to this. I lost it when that song Guantanamela came on. I wasn't expecting it, and I've just seen it on White Chicks,
Oh,
the
yes.
way they sing it on
Yes.
that. So when it came on in my cooking mix, I wasn't
Oh,
expecting it. And I
yes.
just,
Yeah.
yes. But it was just such a peaceful, happy moment cooking in the kitchen, listening to my music. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought to do it if I was just like, oh, what shall I watch now? But I know it's like easier said than done. Sometimes TV is just like the perfect thing to switch off to and relax, you know?
Yeah. Yes. I love
Mm.
TV. But again, my
Yeah.
brain is constantly like, nope, let's check. Like there's a lull in the show. Let's check on your stuff. And I think also like there's so many, and Byron said the same thing. Like
Mm.
we go through like this imbalance of like wanting to just get rid of all social media, but then also really loving it because of the communities we built. And like for me, I'm like every day I'm like I'm gonna delete TikTok from my phone. Every day
Mm.
I think this, but then I also go, but you have a book coming out in a few months. You have
Mm.
to whatever. Not that like I'm even not that even like TikTok is really like I'm not going on TikTok, but like I keep thinking, but maybe one person will see it, or maybe an opportunity will come for it from it.
Mm.
And so I keep doing this thing. And then and
Mm.
even like before Sinner's Isle launch, I was in that same headspace.
Yeah.
And I told myself, okay, after the launch, I'll take a break from everything.
Is it TikTok
However,
specifically that's doing your head in?
yeah,
Yeah.
I
It
feel
sounds
like
like
that one
it.
in yeah, that one in particular because it's so easy to scroll through these different clips. It's
Yeah.
like reels, but like it feels like so much easier to get glued
Oh, I
in.
I looked at it from Phil's phone once and I was never
Yeah.
been more overstimulated in my life. I was
Yeah.
like, I
It's
actually can't.
yeah, it's so much. And you're
Mm.
just like getting bombarded with everything, like
Yeah.
hilarity to terrible news, like all of it.
Mm.
But yeah, after Sinner's Isles, I told myself, okay, I'm gonna take a break from social media. But then I started, going to different like signings or different promotional things. So I thought, oh well, I
Mm.
gotta stay on here and share the stuff about Sinner's Isle, and now I'm into a Cruel Thirst season, so I gotta
Mm.
keep doing it here. Plus it's like the community we built and all the
Yeah.
things. So it's all very like woven into what it is to be a writer, to be an author, is
Mm.
like being on here and promoting yourself and getting the word out. However, it comes
Mm.
with the negative side effects of
Yeah.
brain rot
Oh, I
and you're
don't know
not
how you manage
enjoying.
TikTok.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't really, I suppose.
Mm.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, but I
Chatting.
wonder, you're hustling in so many ways. You've got a podcast,
Yeah.
you're boss on Instagram, you're doing a lot of in-person stuff now, and you still keep a candle for Twitter, I see.
Yeah. Every once in a while. Every once in a while I'll
Maybe you
just
could, if
throw
not
something up
delete
there.
it, maybe it could become like Twitter where you
Yeah.
just
I have to
drop
train
whatever
my brain.
content. Mm.
Drop and run like a grenade.
Yeah, drop and run your content and but that it would feel really hard for you to not engage. Would
Yeah.
you delete it
Yeah.
if it's doing your head in?
Rick, I feel like it would be so much nicer.
Mm.
But like again, I'm so close to A Cruel Thirst coming out, but I truly, truly because and honestly, I've noticed even my like me engaging in just writing things back when people comment on a post or on a video. Like it takes me longer to do it because I'm just like I have to like work myself into it for some reason. Like it's like a I don't know. It's not like an anxiety thing. It's a okay, I don't
It's not giving
I'm
you the
sure people
same dopamine.
understand.
Yeah, I fully understand because I've literally been feeling that. I think as well, something I keep thinking about with Reels, and TikTok would be even worse, is like you said, you're one thing to another to another. But for me lately, the thing that I've found jarring about social media is it's become a platform for so much. And in more recent times, a platform for news, for events. So for me, the whiplash of going from laughing at a funny reel about dicks to the next reel is like children dying. And
Yeah.
then the next reel is like something spiritual and powerful. And every reel hits a different emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I reckon that's where the burnout's coming from, because you're like, you can't, you literally have emotional whiplash, laughing, crying, like pain, from every angle. And so, like, I've noticed the same things. Like, there's been this kind of like, I don't always feel like engaging, but I'm kind of giving myself permission to not those days because I never set out to become a social media master.
Mm-hmm.
I have to frickin' remind myself, like, so, and I'm saying this to myself as well. It's not something I've mastered yet. I like almost need a tattoo of like, I'm a writer, not a content creator. And I know the two go hand in
Yes.
hand, but the reframe of which one is your priority changes it for me throughout the day. Because then I just put up whatever I want. If it doesn't perform well, I'm like, it's there as like part of my diary. It's like my writer diary. If people are looking for you, they find you. But a lot of that, that's what we talked about before. A lot of that kind of like clickbait, rush, whatever, even if you get garner the attention of that rabid rush, it can often immediately pass by just as quickly. I'm sure a lot of these TikTok sensations who do go viral struggle at some point to get that kind of attention with whatever their next book or whatever it is. It was like the flavor of the month and then it's done. And I think we
Mm-hmm.
both know that's not what we want, you know? And the kind of
Yes.
community that's really lasting isn't built that way anyway. It doesn't hurt having, you definitely do pick up people along the way like that. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it would be okay if you let TikTok go. You're hustling in so many million ways. And it's a lot. Like content creating, it can be a full-time job, you know?
Yes. Thank you for that permission.
Just in
No,
case, you know.
no, but I needed it. I did.
If
I
it's
really, yeah.
taking more than it's giving, it's not helping your career. That's what I'll say. Like and
Mm-hmm.
I know that's such a difficult balance to strike. And like, of course, there's days we feel that way about our writing, that it's taking more than it's giving. You'll have days like that, but it passes. Then you'll have another moment where it like really fills the cup. But if something is consistently taking more energy than it's giving, then that's when it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when it's time to get the chop.
Mm.
Because it's true. Remembering your why, just like Byron said, like your
Mm.
reason for doing this,
Yeah.
that is the key. And for many of us, not all of us, but like the social media isn't the reason why we're doing this. It's
Yeah.
just like a byproduct of the stuff. But truly we do this because we love stories and we love writing and all of that, but we're not here to be um TikTok sensations.
Yeah. Or like, I
Fun, or I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't know,
Something
but
I've thought recently, like I did that silly reading for Para's book where I just like dressed up
loved.
and did the reading. But I was like, oh, actually, that was fun, easy. Like I just like a reason to dress up. It didn't feel like work. So if you can find ways to do it where it doesn't feel like extra work on top of everything, I reckon that's why you're not getting the same
Yeah.
feeling from it anymore because it's possibly started to feel like that side is work, you know?
Yeah, it's not the fun like making people laugh
That's
stuff that
it.
I love. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, you getting dressed up and doing that was,
It was
you could
really
tell, like,
fun.
you just have fun. That's perfect. It's the best thing to do. But yeah, like I feel, and I don't know if it's just, and this can probably be a segue into stuff that you wanted to
Oh
kind of
yeah.
chat about on here. But truly, like since Sinner's Isle has come out, like it feel this, it's not depression, but like just maybe it is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I posted about this on Threads, but then I deleted it really fast because I was like, oh, that's too
Uh,
vulnerable. It's, too vulnerable for me. I can't. But truly, like after Sinner's Isle, like even still now, it's like
mm,
this depression,
yeah.
and it's probably just all of the things. It's like every single thing. And I didn't probably do the work of just like taking a step back and like rejuvenating the well
Mm,
and continue to, come back with an arsenal of like joy and like being
yeah.
into posting reels and all of the things. Um,
Mm,
so yeah, I think and I don't know if this is a segue into what you were wanted to talk about,
no, it's
but I feel
good.
like meditating might be something that might be helpful. I'm not
It
sure.
definitely is. One thing I will say about like what you just said, I think as well, the societal pressure we feel to always be happy is fucked. I couldn't think of
Yes.
a better word quickly. But like like being alive, being human is messy. And
Hmm.
I think too often where that's something I'm really trying to sit with lately when I also experience quite intense depression, you know? And even when it can even sometimes worse when the things are going well.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
the gravity of life and like the meaning of things and everything, like existential crisis, pow, 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 you know?
Yes.
Especially when
Yes.
you're wired like us and you think about it a lot. But I'm trying to make space for those parts of myself too, that historically I've been like, righto, bring back your positivity, like, come on, let's get going. And it's not that you just lean into just that, because I do believe in trying to foster joy and happiness and like peace as much as possible is kind of like what I want. But like, yeah, when especially like now I'm super hormonal and I tend to get very existential right before my period. Oh Lord. Everything loses its light and flavor, you know,
Oh,
the
yes.
world stuff. It and like yeah, I can laugh about it because I've sat with it, you know, and like I try it's not perfect, but maybe we just need to give up trying to be perfect and trying to have some answer for everything. I think that's where I find my peace lately, just trying to like give into the flow of it and not always try to fix myself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
That's good.
that said, when it gets really dark and really heavy, so yeah, like as we talked about, I've had like I'm quite open about my mental health journey and I always have been and I always will be. And I have had like some of my followers like kind of ask me, like I talk a lot about the tools I use to manage that. And yeah, I thought it would be cool to share some of them on the pod. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like our time is like ticking away though. What did it
Is
give
it?
us a 10-minute notification already?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I thought it would be cute. Not cute, but
Super cute.
super cute. To just maybe share one tool every episode that I've found helpful to my journey. And like disclaimer, like obviously not a doctor, not like this is just my lived experience and things that I've found throughout my decade of like decade or more of actively managing and living with anxiety disorder and panic attacks and yeah, like post very severe nervous breakdown. So yeah, she wants to share her tools for anyone that finds that useful. And the first one that I wanted to touch on was meditation. So yes, like as you've so well put it, like, well, I can't remember what you said now, but you brought it up in such a beautiful way.
Whatever I said, it was great. Yeah.
Whatever you
Yeah.
said, it was hitting. It really is um the exact opposite of what we're doing, like scrolling on our phones, meditation, which is probably why we struggle so much with it. Honestly, I probably would have given up on meditation if I hadn't have been at um such a place of severe discord in my own body. And yeah, like again, disclaimer, I'm not anti-Western med in any way. I'm like, do whatever helps you, do whatever. But my journey kind of led me down a more like Chinese med was kind of
Hmm.
my area and holistic stuff. So yeah, that's my experience with it. And yeah, meditation was one of the things. I was really lucky when I had my nervous breakdown. I was studying Japanese at Melbourne Uni, and the perks of studying at like the best university in Australia was there was a lot of free shit. So I got free therapy
Mm.
through the course, through being just a student. And my therapist was immediately like very much that was her thing. Like she was very interested in mindfulness and meditation and how it affects the body. And so yeah, um, in particular, the one I kind of want to like bring to listeners' attention is breathing meditations. Because like let me tell you, and there's a good exhale, the power of like your breathing when it comes to anxiety and panic attacks, like is I have stopped panic attack. I stop panic attacks as they gear up sometimes with my breathing. Like
Mm.
that's my go-to thing. But to have that a bit like when I first started meditating and these wonderful meditations by John Kabat-Zinn, and I'll send like slide into our DMs. I will send you those breathing meditations. When I started attempting to do them in this course, my breathing, it took me months to catch it. For months, I just did it just because I was suffering and there was nothing else being presented to me as a way to help it. And it still gave me something even when I wasn't doing it properly. And then one day I remember just ugly crying as I actually like became present in my body. And I realized that my breathing was just like barely there. I was
Mm.
basically gasping every, like barely, like a little, like just like that's how I was breathing day to day. Because I'd just had a nervous breakdown, so my breathing was
Yeah.
fucked. And I couldn't actually take a deep lunged breath for months. So it's
Wow.
really hard to calm your body down if your breathing is at that place, which is why I start with breathing meditation as something that was really helpful for me because, yeah, like it sucks to hear that it took so long. It did take months, but you're talking about decades or like years and years of not breathing properly, years and years of an overstimulated nervous system in fight or flight mode. So even though that sounds horrible, like sometimes there's not a quick fix to something that has been sustained over, often there's not a quick fix. So again, because I was in such a low place and this is what was presented to me as help, I just persevered with it out of like desperation and having that moment where I was like, whoa, I see I'm not breathing. How
Mm.
can I calm my body when I'm not breathing? So my breathing is one of the things I constantly have to monitor because my body naturally wants to fly into fight or flight over random shit. And the problem is when it happens, you can really feel like it's so important and you must pay attention to that thing. But at a lot of times, if you live with anxiety and panic disorder like me, your body will pop off at random shit because we're
Mm.
not
Hmm.
in the caveman mode anymore, right? So what does your body do with all that? Like run from the something, yeah? That's our
Yes.
generational trauma in our body, yeah? So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, doing these breathing meditations was one of my first anchors into my own body. And like that presentness and that mindfulness of the breath has been nothing short of life changing for me. Like being able to, because the thing about panic attacks and anxiety is you feel so out of control when it happens. That's one of the most frightening parts. And again, everybody's experience is different. This is what's worked for me. And I just know how powerful breathing is. It sounds so simple, yeah. I was the biggest cynic. I was just like, it can't just be the breathing that will help. And yet, when I feel a panic attack building, because I can catch it now because I'm more present in my body, I immediately will do some deep breaths. I'll often find if I pay attention to my breathing, I've lost control of it and it's little short gasps again. And
Mm.
once you realize that, just the knowledge of, oh, I know what it is, I know what's happening in my body can also be calming to you. So yeah, I'm so happy to share those resources with anyone. They also gave me back in that course like a body scan, just like feeling in your body the places, like just bringing your attention to like, chest pain, another thing that I had in my body of like feeling symptoms and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'll probably
Definitely.
touch on meditation again because that's like the
Yeah,
breathing
that feels
one's
like it's
kind of,
the foundation almost. It's like breathing is the
yeah.
core. And then you can build and you have all these tools to share with us in the
Yeah.
coming episodes, which I'm really grateful for. And I'm sure our listeners will be too. And here I am breathing.
Good.
And honestly, like we had just talked about, like I want peace and being able to breathe, just
Mm,
breathing into taking up space and just calming and all of that. I think,
mm.
yeah, I think we could all stand to remember to breathe.
Yeah.
We gotta breathe.
It's the
Yeah.
most simple thing in the world, but when you lose control of that, you realize that your breath is your life, like it's
Yeah.
fueling you. And like the more and more conscious I've become of it, like when I feel like pain in certain parts of my body, you can kind of like focus on breathing into that part or like breathing through the pain and just it's really is so, so powerful. So I can't encourage people enough to just like check in with your breath. Check in with your breath. There's probably again, this is just my little experiences, my little tools. There's probably so many more resources out there. The most important thing is like check in what feels with right in your body, because that's the thing. Everybody's journey is going to look different with mental health. And there's been plenty of times I tried something, I was like, wasn't for me, didn't really notice that it did anything for me. And that's part of it. Like give yourself a chance to experiment, ask for help. Like
Mhm.
don't try to like take it all on yourself. Like don't be afraid to reach out to like a professional, but be that like a Western doctor, be that for me like my initial like person that I checked, well, my therapist in college, but then I had like a doctor of Chinese medicine who I would like touch base with and just report what's going on with you so you're not carrying it all alone. So
Mm.
find a professional, focus on the breath. That's kind of my entry point. So yeah, hopefully we can like share like some more little random things, and I'll always want your
Yes.
feedback and anything you've experienced as well.
No, please share away because I feel like I learn something every time. And I do want to work on meditating and breathing. And I think we could all stand to just like sit and listen to our
Mm.
bodies, what our bodies are saying. So yeah, thank you for sharing. And more. We're gonna need more from Melanie. Write out a script. We're ready for more. Write out a list. But I want to get into Byron's bio because we have less than a minute. And let me see if I can do it. Because Byron is truly magic. So Byron Graves is Ojibwe and was born and raised on the Red Lake Indian Reservation in Minnesota, where he played high school basketball. When he isn't writing, he can be found playing retro video games, spending time with his family, or cheering on his beloved Minnesota Timberwolves. Rez Ball is his debut novel.
Yes.
Let's
And
get Byron
I
Graves
loved
on.
him so much. And just before it cuts me off, I want to encourage you to get sassy with that voice that resists it. That's what I do. I like argue with that resistance voice. I'm like, oh, so you enjoy that chest pain, do you? Fine, don't meditate. Try get sassy with yourself and see if that helps. Because I think you can bully yourself into meditation. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hello. I think you're sideways.
Let me fix it.
Okay. There, yeah. I like the color of your walls.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
That's a vibe.
I love a
Right.
dreamy dark. Is it a charcoal?
I think
Charcoal?
so.
Yeah.
I'm actually slightly colorblind, so I'm the last person you should ask. Whatever you think it is probably the truth.
Interesting.
Amazing. Yeah. I see Mel's eyes are just
I want to
widening.
know so much. I'm always fascinated by this stuff.
I didn't even know until I was trying to look at a coverage map, and it had a legend and it was all different shades of magenta. And it all looked the same to me. So at first I thought it was a joke. But then everybody else around me was showing me out that like they were seeing the differences. So then I took one of those tests where you're supposed to see like the number 7 or the number 9, and it's just a bunch of dots. And there was a bunch of them I couldn't see the numbers in. So that's when I was like, oh, crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's
Well,
weird
hey.
too, being someone who colors their hair all the time. It's like, what's the point? But I still enjoy it.
Yeah, for all of us, it looks great. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can see, Melanie is a hair dyer
green
herself.
today.
I noticed. It looks
Yeah.
awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
taking the time to chat with us.
Yeah.
I've been following your journey for a while now, and I just love seeing your book everywhere and seeing all the accolades that you've been receiving with it. So it's super cool. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor.
Oh no, the honor is ours, truly. Let's start out, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ojibwe and Lakota. I was born on the Red Lake Indian Reservation in northern Minnesota. Huge pop culture fan. I've always been like a big pop culture nerd. I love retro video games, obviously love writing and telling stories, and fell in love with skateboarding a couple years ago. So that's been kind of my new thing. But yeah, just love having a fun time, love doing something exciting, love basketball, obviously. So you can usually catch me at like a Nuggets game.
Sweet.
Nice.
We're Sacramento Kings fans over here.
Right on.
Yeah, but like going to the games it's just a blast. They're so
Yeah.
freaking fun.
Right.
Yeah. So you said you took up skateboarding more recently?
Yeah. So my next book is about a teenage skateboarder, and I was kind of like method writing instead of method acting. And I really wanted to like get inside the mindset of what that feels like, getting on a skateboard for the first time and kind of learning something and falling and like all that stuff. So in my next book, there's really a lot of my own personal experience as a skateboarder that I don't know if I would have quite been able to do just like Googling it and reading about it.
And it's the best thing ever, picking up a hobby like that you didn't know you loved later and being like, I freaking love this. Like,
right. Yeah, I went
Yeah,
golfing
lots of-
once and I hated it. So sometimes I do try stuff and I'm like, nope, not for me. And then other times I'm like, yep, this was meant to be all along.
And was this one of those things that you felt like that?
Yeah, my only regret is I wish I could have done it like my whole life. Because I love it that much that I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine how good I could have gotten if I would have had 30 some years of practice.
Yeah. Right. I mean, skateboarding's no joke either.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of it during the Olympics?
Yeah, I watched all of the girls or women's skateboarding. I don't know why I'm always a little more fascinated with female skateboarders.
Yeah.
So I watched all of the street skate and then all of the best trick skate, the vert stuff. So it was awesome.
It is. It's so stinking cool. I tried once. That was your golf was my skateboarding.
I tried to. I wanted to be a cool skater girl so bad, but I'm very uncoordinated. And I was not doing yoga yet, and it showed. Have you hurt yourself badly doing it?
My worst injury so far has been a dislocated shoulder. The other ones, the falls are still just horrific. They just hurt so bad, even if there's not like a hospital worthy injury. It like rattles your soul.
That is
like
bad.
there's the physical pain, and then there's this like ethereal, like primordial state of like, what was that?
Yeah, I stepped it the other day just walking, and I know exactly what you mean. There's just like this shock that like ricocheted through my body, and I saw lights. I was like, oh, I'm fragile.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. That must have been pretty gnarly.
She survived. She's good. That's good to know. Yeah. Well, I want to ask one of our favorite questions, which is, what is the strangest thing you own? I like to dig deep, in this podcast.
I would maybe say my cat Stinky, but just because he's a tuxedo cat who looks eternally angry. And he randomly smells really bad, even though he's an indoor cat, and then it goes away. So he's like this magical, weird, evil cat. But if I can't count a cat, my partner bought me a longboard skateboard that's shaped like a coffin that says RIP on it, and it has my name on the bottom. And she gave it to me with a note that said, "Please wear a helmet so I don't have to put you in one of these." So I hope anytime anyone comes over, they're like, "What in the heck is that?"
That's so fair and such a valid gift. I would worry too. My husband wants a motorbike, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
Wait till we're older, you know?
Right.
Well, I'd love to know, our other question that we love to ask is, what is something you think about way too often?
Probably the look in someone's eyes when I can't tell if they understood exactly what I meant to say. And I'll think about it at like 2 a.m, and I'll think about it 2 months later, and 20 years later, I'll wonder about the better way I should have worded it, or a more efficient way I should have worded it, or some addendums, or some additional information that maybe I needed for them to know my intent. So I'm always haunted by if I said the right thing, or if my true intention came across. It haunts me forever.
Oh my gosh.
That's so real.
Yeah.
That's so freaking real. I like, as you were saying that, I thought of several like situations that I still think about 20 years later to this day. So yeah, that's real. Yeah, I should probably call my grandma and talk to her about these things
How
that we haven't hashed
wonderful.
out.
I just feel relieved when people say this stuff, because I'm just like, literally, like, we're all, maybe it's a writer thing. We're like trying to edit our conversation to like the perfect way we could have conveyed meaning. Like, maybe it's because we can't edit our convos, but we have to edit our books.
I had that thought the other day that's why, out of everything I'm into and everything I love, that writing became my favorite, because I get 100 chances or 1,000 chances to make it right. And I have people way smarter and way more experienced than me also helping make sure that I say what I want to say correctly. So yeah, you're spot on. I had that like epiphany like a week ago as I was laying in bed at 2 a.m.
Thinking of everything.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, speaking of writers, did you always know you wanted to be a writer?
Yes and no. So when I was like 3 years old, my amazing, wonderful mother, instead of reading me bedtime stories, she would create and make up and freestyle the bedtime stories, which was awesome, until I started to edit and add, and I'd request cameos. I'd be like, what if Scooby-Doo was in this scene? Or what if the Smurfs popped up? Or what if instead of going across that bridge, this happens? And she finally was like, oh my God, write your own stories. And then I had that thought where I was like, oh, I could. Like, so it was always in the back of my head as something, like, I loved storytelling. I loved thinking about different ways a story could happen ever since my childhood. But I had a lot of other interests and a lot of other endeavors and passions that I've pursued in my life, which coincidentally have all come back to be part of my writing life. But I did pursue other things: sports, music, acting, and all of those things coalesced into like how I write and what I write about.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting that life experience, and I think that's the thing. Like, the more you fill the well with like these experiences, other jobs, whatever, you have stuff to write about.
Yeah.
What about your publishing journey? What was that like?
It was really unique, I would say. So I went the tried and true route, and this was like 10 or 12 years ago, of sitting down, writing a book, and then I bought, I think it was called Publishers Marketplace. I don't know if that's still around, but it had the agents and their addresses. So I would like send out the letters, with my query letter of, hey, this is what's so great about this book, getting the 100 rejections back, actually envelopes in the mail. You could tell this kind but copied and pasted type of response. So I was going through that for like several years of trying the old-fashioned way. And as I was getting close to giving up, I just was talking about my next book on social media a lot. And Terry Wolf, who's my agent with AKA Literary, she saw me talking about it and requested to read it. And I was a little jaded at that point, and I was a little like pessimistic at that point. So I sent it off in a very apathetic manner, like, whatever, you know what I mean? Have fun reading it. And then she called me 6 or 7 weeks later and it was kind of like a first date. She told me about her life, her experience in the industry. I told her a little bit about myself and my vision, and things kind of started to go from there. And it was a similar thing with Heart Drum and HarperCollins, the imprint that Rez Ball came out on. I actually ended up in a roundabout way getting a request from Cynthia Leidig Smith, who's the curator for that imprint. And she asked me, hey, can I read this Rez Ball book that you've been talking about and that you shared at that workshop? And I was like, yeah, sure. Same thing happened. She reached out to me after that and was like, holy crap, I want to publish this book. So both times it ended up being somebody else asking me about my book or me as an author.
I love that. I just love hearing all the different ways that we've found ourselves in this journey. And I love that you were out there sort of like boosting yourself and just chatting about your book. And because of that, like here you are now. I think that's just the coolest thing. Do you think, so you said one time was at a workshop and then was the other time through social media?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I think the social media was what also allowed me to get into that workshop. Like, I don't know, like these days, like if you exist without being somewhat present online, especially in the creative arts. So yeah, it was all social media. And I have a love-hate relationship with social media. Like every day I want to delete it and never have it. And then every day some amazing thing happens from it. So
yeah, that's real.
That struck some deep chord in my soul, because it's literally, I was listening to that and I was like, well, there's the pitch for the social media side of, like, I mean, if you ever doubted it, listeners, there is some magic. Like, honestly, my whole community has come from online, the best friends. So yeah, it's so cool to hear though, but it is a struggle, isn't it, between having it and wanting to destroy it?
All right, the work-life balance, some of the negativity that can exist out there, some of the, you might not watch the news for a week or a month because you're just trying to like avoid some of that, but that's so much of social media. So it becomes like this inescapable amount of like this medium that's just coming into you no matter what. You can't like turn it off or escape from it. There's the TV, there's the radio, and then there's like social media. So it's like, which one do you get rid of, or all of them? But then they're also necessary. You want to stay informed. You want to be in the know. You want to help make a difference in different people's lives. So it's like a necessary evil.
That's so real.
Side question, but how do you think you've balanced that? The wanting to be offline, but feeling like you also want to be online.
I have done a better and better job of just setting my phone aside for long periods of time and knowing like if some really big or awful thing happened, like there's nothing I could do about it. So I'll find out about it in an hour or two. But setting it aside for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever, has made a huge difference. Then I'm more present when I'm having a conversation or having dinner. I'm more present when I'm watching a movie or trying to read a book. So it's just been taking these little mini breaks, and then I hop on, catch up, check through some stuff, have a little fun, set it back aside. But it's been like making sure I take those breaks and just set it aside for a while here and there.
Yes, that I find myself having to like hide my phone from myself and walking away because I feel like there's like this brain rot that comes with like constantly being on socials, and I hate it because I used to love just sitting and watching shows, but now I find myself like if there's a lull in the show, I'm grabbing my phone, and I hate it because I love being invested in shows. And for me, watching K-dramas was the thing because I had to read the subtitles. And so that was the only way I could like not have my phone. But yeah, it's a struggle.
Yeah. That's what I do love about traditional movie theaters is giving that full attention for the 2 hours or whatever the movie is that you can't seem to quite do at home these days.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
That's such good advice. I actually leave my phone on silent a lot of the time, like unless I'm expecting a call, which is rare. super rare, but I just leave it on silent, so it's like a really active choice. It's not always buzzing for my attention. But yeah, I always love to hear how people are managing it, because it really is, it's like literally designed to be like a drug to our brain that we crave to always. It's like that little hit of dopamine, cha-cha, like a literally little hit of drugs every time.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real. Well, one thing that no reader will ever get distracted is Rez Ball, is reading a good book. Can you tell our listeners like a little bit about it?
Mm.
Yeah, it's I wrote it for reluctant readers. So I wanted a kid who's 13 or 14 who thinks for one reason or another that they don't like reading to be able to pick it up and have this like fast-paced basketball action, something kind of poetic, something kind of deep. The sentences are short, the paragraphs are short, the chapters are short. So a kid can pick it up and all of a sudden be on like chapter 2 or chapter 3 and then start to feel proud of that progress and get invested very quickly because within the first couple of pages, you've already got amped up from the basketball action and then you get destroyed by the way the chapter ends and you're like, holy crap, that was a lot for this like little snippet of time. So I wrote it with the concept of like Twitter or X or whatever we call it, or just the social media fast-paced little nuggets of information. So that was a huge part of the writing style of it. But it's about a family going through a grieving process of losing somebody. It's about the beauty of basketball or a passion and how that can be this beautiful distraction during a really tough, challenging time. It's very reflective and almost autobiographical of my own lived experience playing high school basketball on the Indian reservation where I grew up. And so there's a lot of dynamics to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, my son needs to read this stat because he's a basketball guy. So I love that. Yeah. And I've been finding, and I've been really thinking about this lately, like it feels like we're seeing, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just not seeing it, but like less and less male-led books in YA in particular. Because my son and I were he's 14, and he was just talking about, God, I love the Maze Runner. Like he devoured those books. He read every book, then he watched the show or the movie. And and I was trying to think, like rack my brain, oh well, what other books can I give him? Because he's like a dude. He wants to read like dude stuff. And so, like like he wants that kind of stuff. And so I feel like there's just kind of a gap a little bit. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for filling the gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that YA is so diverse
Mm.
nowadays, and you have a wide variety of writers from the full like LGBTQ spectrum, BIPOC authors, Native American authors are finally getting to like share some of that. But there is that, I've noticed that too, because so many of the authors I've met along this journey this past year have been predominantly female, which is really cool. But they're boys need to read. It's really important for boys to read. Boys, I feel like lack as women have more empathy, right? Like I think that's like this like thing. Women can understand, women can empathize a little bit more. And that's what reading does, especially for a young like boys. It lets them live in these other characters' worlds a little bit longer. So I think it really is important to like make sure there are some books for boys. And then just let that be a bridge to then them reading a female point of view, a gay point of view, a lesbian or bi point of view, a trans point of view, someone who's from a different background than them. But sometimes you just need the thing that they're really into to get them into like book one.
Yeah. I got chills as you were
Same.
talking, when you said the bridge too. And I was just like, yes, yes.
That's it, because they've got to have that initial, like, it sounds like what you're writing is so, like, on the money for the kind of reluctant reader who's out playing basketball and is like, books. But then it's
Right.
like creating that hype that gets them excited about it. Yeah, 100%. Doing the work, and we appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Is there anything about publishing that has surprised you in this journey so far?
I think the glacier pace of how things move behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so you get this like life-changing news that you want to like go on a mountain and scream to the world about, and you can't for like 6 months or so just how long and deep the editing process is, how long it takes for for you to find the cover, the person who does the art for the cover, and like all those things, the marketing behind it, how strategically they map out when it's going to come out. I think from the outside looking in, I thought you like wrote a book and then like a month later it was published. Like I thought it was way faster, because like these days, like I'm so used to content creators can go and make a video and upload it onto TikTok and have 1 million views if it goes viral in an hour from now. And meanwhile, I'm doing something that takes like 2 to 3 years before anyone can like look at it.
Yeah.
Totally. Would you say that's been the hardest part for you, the glacial pace, or has it been something else?
Initially, it was It took some adjusting, but now I actually prefer it
Mm.
because it does give me so much time to plan and plot, whether that's like from a marketing perspective of like, okay, with this book, what do I want to do with like the social media pre-launch, during launch, after launch? Like, so it gives me more time to really think through some of the stuff I want to do versus I don't know if I would have that time if it was like that rapid, fast pace of some other things.
Mm.
Yeah. It's
But I think
yeah.
it really helps you make what you're doing more unique because you're thinking about it for so much longer, and so many other people are thinking about it for so much longer. Like I just sent my new book off to the editors at HarperCollins, and now I'm just gonna wait for, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month until they give me the notes on what to go do. But in the meantime, I'm already like, oh, I know a connective tissue scene that's gonna make this and this make more sense. So it's giving me that time to really like let that like story marinate. And especially like once you share it, there's something more scary and more vulnerable because now I'm thinking about that person who's reading it. And I'm like, what are they thinking? Versus when it's safe and secure on my laptop.
Yes. I like that thought, like the way you think of this, of like it's giving us time to basically build it into this better, more well-rounded book. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna start trying to think it like that as well. I'm gonna start working on that. Like, no, we're just letting it like stew and you guys have it. Now I'm gonna think over here instead of me just panicking. I
Mm.
like your version better, for sure.
Yeah.
What's been the best part of this journey so far?
Definitely, it's kind of a tie between hearing from young readers and how like Rez Ball impacted them or what they felt about it. Hearing from teachers who have told me like I never had a book where the kids read ahead. And when they told me why they were reading ahead, I was like, well, at least they're reading ahead. But it was kind of funny why they were reading ahead. But I've had kids tell me like, this Afro-Indigenous teenager came up to me and said, and there's an Afro-Indigenous character in Rez Ball, and he was holding it and he said, I never thought I would see myself in a book, but I'm in this book. And I was like, that's such a cool thing to hear. So that part of it, hearing from readers and how it's like out there in the world and how it's like been positive, but then also like getting to meet and network with so many authors and get to be friends with so many authors and feeling this like intense bond with them because we're like such unique people. There's only so many of us in the world. So when you can see one of them and you like each other and you have common interests, you can be like, did we just become best friends? So like having that connection, because like writing's a really lonely journey and it's a really long journey. So now to like have some authors that I feel really close to has made me feel like less alone just in the universe. Like even like forget about writing, just in the world, I've found other versions of me now that exist.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And like, I really resonate with that too. Like, we'll have someone on the podcast often because Angela's a witch and she just somehow picks people that are just so alike in spirit. And I'll be like, another person cut from the same cloth. Like, my soul like recognizes something in that person, even though I might not have been following them yet or like gotten to know them. And it is really such a, like you said, I agree. It makes me feel less alone in the world and just like, yeah, there's people like us out
Right.
there. It's really beautiful.
It is beautiful. I can't imagine. I like think back of what I was doing however many years ago it's been since I started writing and like got on social media about like bookish things and like writerly things. And I think back like it was kind of a lonely like life I was living. Yeah, I had not many, but I had some friends. I mean, I don't like people that much in real life, but like getting to meet a community of writers, there really and truly is something so special. Like I have not yet, knock on wood, met a writer that I didn't just love, and get to chat with because we do share this kind of a trauma bond, but also just a bond, in general. But yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Trauma
Yeah, we
bonds are the best bonds. We're just here sharing our trauma, trying to heal. That's probably it. It's like a writer, you're like forced to like look inside yourself as you write these characters. Otherwise, they're quite two-dimensional characters if you don't do that. And I guess when you do that, yeah, You tend to think about life a lot.
Yeah, that's it. Is there anything you wish readers knew about your book before they read it?
Just that everything like between the different communities, there's like the non-indigenous communities surrounding the Red Lake Indian Reservation where the story takes place. And it's kind of just like this social commentary on some of those situations, but it's like the amalgamation of all of it. And it's like the culmination of like my experiences and my friends and family and like community members from my reservation. It's all those kind of experiences kind of piled up into one to give like this example, but it's like that's kind of in this like cylinder versus like obviously real life things are more complex, more nuanced. So I just always wanted to make sure that people knew like that it's really this bigger picture thing that I was trying to tell, and it's not just about one town or one person or one thing.
Mm.
That can get a little dicey sometimes. And so just keeping, but in my author's note, a lot of that is explained if someone gets to the end and then they want to like go through that. There's like some of the specifics of what I was saying and why I said it explained in the author's note.
That's yeah. It sometimes it's just impossible to put all of the things in a single book. Yeah, it makes sense 100%. Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's really good to know and understand. You mentioned skateboarding and not golf. What other things do you do to fill your creative well? I know you said retro video games, right?
Yeah, I love retro video games. I love hiking. I love living inside of characters or TV series or movies. Like I'm not someone who watches them. I actually like feel like completely like immersed, and I'll take on like the personality of like Jessica Jones for like a week because I like thought she was so awesome that I want to be like Kristen Ritter in that show. So like living in those worlds and like falling in love with like I said, pop culture and media. Because then it's always like fueling my like writing mind because I'm always like living in these other worlds all the time, and then I'm always taking stuff from it. That and just like now that I've published a book and like seen the effects of that, now like I have a different like perspective on just every interaction I have with any person. I sit down at a bar and sit next to somebody, everything that they're saying, everything they're wearing, the conversation they have with the bartender, I'm constantly like living inside of a book as well, and I'm just constantly like plucking like, ooh, that was a really good line, or if that person would have done this would have been really cool. So my whole like every experience in my life is now kind of connected to like storytelling and writing.
You're constantly editing.
Always editing, always soaking stuff in. So there's not like a moment in my day where I'm not like kind of taking something and thinking about it in a deeper way too. You know, like when you write a book, a character does something, but then there's like but then what, or the why, you know? So like in my own life, every person I interact with, I'm also thinking about those like nuances a little bit deeper than I did before I had a book out.
Cool. You're a very deep introspective soul, I see. And it is one of the like there's definitely the downsides to the overthinking mind, but it is the listening to you describe that, it's one of my favorite parts of being such an overthinker is the way life can be so magical, like a movie unfolding, like, and you can just have all these stories happening in your head and everything can have meaning in it in those moments. I love that so much. Well, I want to ask one of our favorite questions, which is looking back, what advice would you give a younger version of yourself before you started out on this journey?
Probably to just be kind to myself and to be patient and to understand that at some point along this journey, you will find your passion if it's meant to be, and you will find your purpose if it's meant to be. And once those things are part of your mind and part of your heart, part of your life, then those long, lonely nights of sitting at your laptop till 2 or 3 in the morning are those times you've sacrificed to not go hang out with friends or not go spend time with family because you're really trying to like finish up this book, using all of your PTO at your 9 to 5 to write instead of go on vacation. All those things will become worth it if you find that purpose and that meaning, which to my younger self, I know I do, but to any younger writer, that would be my advice. Don't do it to get famous. Don't do it to make money. Don't do it to like win some award. Like if that's what you're in it for, those long, lonely nights and those rejections are going to kick you in the butt and you're probably going to quit. So you have to have some deeper meaning to why you're doing it.
Yes.
Amen.
That is very wise advice. 100%.
That's good. I want to ask really fast, is there a show that you are obsessing over right now? I've been stuck on it since you mentioned you get, you've taken their personality. So I want to know, who are we speaking to right now?
I just finished up my second rewatch of the live action series of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Beautiful show, amazing casting, well written, like just such a deep, great story. So I had to watch it a second time. So that's what I just wrapped up. So now I'm in one of those like show holes. I'm gonna have to go find like what my next show is.
I'm Melanie's got questions, I'm sure, about Avatar.
I am a big Avatar Last Airbender fangirl. So I mean, we won't talk about Angela's experiences with it. Have you seen the original as well, is my question?
Yeah, I actually just did a second watch of that.
Okay, I accept that answer. I accept that answer. Two rewatches is acceptable.
two rewatches of the animated one from what that was like 2010 or something around when it came out, and then 2 of the Netflix live action. So now I'm gonna need to give it some time. Have I what?
Have you done Korra
I started
yet?
it. I started it. I'm on episode like 4 or 5. I really like that they integrated like sports into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the next watch for you then.
Yeah. I can tell I'm falling in love with that one already. So
yes.
Yeah.
It feels very different at the start. Honestly, I didn't like it the first time I watched it. And then the second time, once I stopped trying to make it into the first one, I was like, oh no, this is everything.
Yeah.
She's got to be herself. She's a different show. She's different. Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
I watched the live action. I thought it was great.
No, it's not enough, Angela. You need to watch the original.
I'll get to it. Okay. Well, you mentioned, because we've got 3 minutes left, you mentioned you're working on book 2. Is there anything you can tell us about book 2?
So
top secret.
Yeah, well, I can share some of it. So I wanted to do the like flip, the like complete opposite of Rez Ball, but also have them like cousins or parallel. So Rez Ball takes place during the school year. This is a summer book. So like kids love summertime. So you get to go rafting, you get to sleep in a little late, you get to watch the 4th of July fireworks. So like all the cool, fun summer stuff is happening. Rez Ball, the main character, Trey, is this fantastic, talented basketball player. The character in my new book is just learning. So he's really struggling and feeling really insecure, scared of what people at the skate park are going to think if he falls. So they're just like almost polar opposites, but they're both about an Ojibwe teenager who's using sports to help them get through a really challenging time.
I love that. And I just want to ask before we go, what are you most looking forward to about this next leg of your writing journey?
Taking everything I learned from my experience of book 1 and leveraging that and utilizing that. When I started book 1, I had like a hammer and a nail. Now I have, all the tools. I have a full tool belt. So every single aspect of this book, from the writing process through like now that I'm editing it, it's so exciting to have so many more like abilities that I didn't have before. So it's more fun, more exciting, and I'm hoping to write a better book than my last book.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, your toolbox is stacked.
Yeah.
You're good to go. Yeah. That is amazing. Well, sign us up to be part of your street team. We're here. We're ready to boost every book you have from here on out. Thank you so much for joining us, honestly. And you're just so wise. You have so many amazing things to say. So again, thank you for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you so much. As we would say on my reservation, miigwech, which means thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it was really wonderful.
Have a great day. Thank you.